show, Film Talk with AJ Dean. I'm your host, AJ Dean, and I have a wonderful co-host with me, Paul Vato. He is an actor, comedian. He owns his own business as a cigar store in Las Vegas, and he is phenomenal. And we also, hi, Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Just, freezing my butt off. It's like 60 in Vegas, so.
So time to get the fur coat out, or the fake fur coat, right?
The fake fur coat, yeah. And I actually thought about turning my ceiling fan off today, so yeah.
I would do that. Well, we have a fabulous show today, Paul. We have the amazing Loki D. Wolf. He is an actor and photographer from Los Angeles, California. And he has done, projects like Indifferent and Backlash. But most recently, we're going to talk to him about Bonsoir Chez, Good Morning, which is a romance, and Faith in Love, which is starting next month. Hello, Loki. Welcome, and how are you?
Hello to AJ, and again, hello to Paul, you're probably cold because you're out in space, more likely.
That could be it.
No, that's what it is. But hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Well, it's wonderful to have you here, Loki. And we finally get to meet. We've been meeting on Clubhouse, all of us, and it's so wonderful to get together now on video. And this is going to go, I'm going to blast this all over YouTube, Roku, Facebook. So I want to thank you for being here tonight. Let's get right in it. And Paul, jump in anytime you want. I wanted to ask you, Loki, how did you get started in film and TV?
The cliche question, right? But it does have to be asked, and I honestly don't mind it. I don't know. I don't know if my story is necessarily unique as it is. Still, it's my story, so I'm not trying to water it down either. But I was a kid. I knew as a kid. I really can't tell you an age. Let's say 10, maybe 7, 10, something like that, because I liked playing with human nature and psychology, and I would do things and say things to get a reaction. You may say, oh, you're just looking for attention. No, I love performing, and I love the reaction I got from the performance. So I didn't know that was acting. I had no idea. And then as I got older, I'm coming from the generation of reruns. And so all the 70 shows, all the 80 shows, whatever, I grew up on reruns. So the old black and white, Lucille Ball and the Honeymooners, to the English shows, the two Ronnies.
Benny Hill.
I just grew up on all this stuff. And then as I got older, I was into the dramas, the comedy dramas, so MASH, Hill Street Blues. I mean, I just had, Three's Company. I had all these shows. I had never seen black shows, and Here's Good Times, and The Jeffersons, and it was just wonderful.
I loved them.
I just knew I wanted to do that. So
yeah,
as I got older, I ended up just realizing, this is what I need to be doing.
It's a natural for you, Loki. This is your passion. This is what you are supposed to do. And, I've witnessed this also on Clubhouse in the wonderful, you recently did the Prince of Bel-Air. You played the wonderful Maître D', right? Of the family.
Jeffrey, the butler.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And that was phenomenal. So I want to thank you for that. Paul, did you want to jump in and ask anything or say anything?
Not yet, but I think, I can totally relate, because these are the shows that I grew up with as well, in obviously in reruns, but it's the same thing with a little bit. I don't think I was as big of a fan as the comedy dramas. I probably didn't get them as much as the really funny shows that Loki grew up with. So that's fantastic. I love that we're both kind of in that same comedic path, especially the comedies.
It was great. Amazing. We had quality. I don't know. We just had quality stuff. I mean, it was so written. Taxi. That was such a phenomenal show, and it's. I mean, you could still go back to the humor. I mean, you look at Taxi and the when, when they had to take, I forgot his name. He played the professor in Back to the Future, Christopher Lloyd. When his character had to go renew his license, or he never had a license, and he was, "Psst, what does yellow light mean?" And the guys that were with him, slow down. He said, "What does yellow light?" So the whole joke just went him slowing down. I mean, corny, but if you saw the performance, you're in tears.
Yes, yes, it was so good. It was so good.
Stuff. And then the dramas came, and Alan Alda became an incredible influence because I saw comedy with drama, and I hadn't seen that before. And MASH was the first show that introduced me to, oh, you can be funny and be dramatic and deal with serious issues. And it was, so yeah, off to the races after that.
I loved it. I loved it as well. I share that. Go ahead, Paul.
I do, and I think Loki, it'll probably come up, so people might be wondering then where you grew up. Did you grow up in the United States, or did you grow up abroad?
So I was born in Chicago. I'm currently located in Los Angeles, but I was born in Chicago, and then yeah, I bounced around between my parents. So yeah, my dad was over here at one point across the pond, and so I stayed with him. And I was around him, I want to say, the influential years. So the developing and the social, if you will, because back in Chicago, I did have some friends, but it wasn't television type friends. You know what I mean? We were neighborhood friends. So it wasn't as if I was confiding in them or, hey man, let's just, go talk about girls. I mean, no, it was just, I know you, I'll come around your house. If you're home, we'll play. And, that's what it was. But socially, that would be my father who introduced me. It was my first time befriending a white person because of my father.
Awesome.
And seeing other cultures and things of that nature. So, born in Chicago, raised in the UK, came back, bounced around the States half my life. In my 30s and 40s, I literally lived all over Chicago and some suburbs. But yeah, I just could not stop. And so now I have calmed myself in my age, and I am now in Los Angeles following the careers. So
yes, and how is it going? It's what excites you right now in Los Angeles? What have you got going on? What are you looking forward to?
The networking, the people. That's an interesting question because a lot of people are so jaded.
Yeah.
Wherever they live, they're jaded about where they live. And I'm so used to that. I can move to Connecticut and in a very small town. It's just, hey, this is great. And it's just, it's all right. You're just, wow. I'm not saying you can have a parade every day, but the lack of appreciation. I lived in Chicago, and even though I had been to the top of the Sears Tower in the Hancock Building, it's not the Sears Tower, and I call it Sears Tower still.
Willis.
Hey, watch it. But I had been to the top of it. I still appreciated it. I still found it fascinating. I still said, man, it's still a great town. You know what I mean? And so visitors or anyone who would come, I'm not knocking it because I know what I got.
Yes.
I know what I can, go see. So I come to LA, it's the same thing. I'm just, but the traffic, yes, traffic in a lot of metropolitan cities. What's, this and that. Yeah, it's stop hating Monday.
Right. It's all relative, isn't it, Loki?
Right.
Right, Paul?
If you keep hating it or you don't, you lost the excitement, it's something going on inside that, you don't want to get to that point of death and then come back and say, oh, I love all of this. You can do that now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love LA. It has been, I had visited before I came here, and I ended up getting here March of 2020. So at the height of the pandemic, excuse me, hey, LA.
I love it.
Love it. Here. It was just dead. So, and that was funny too. But I've been loving it. On a side note, this has been one of the most beautiful states I've ever been in. I've ever lived in. To drive 2 or 3 hours away from LA and be in another world.
Wow.
You're still in California. Come on.
Yeah, it's paradise. It really is lovely. I used to live there, and I know what you mean. Speaking of paradise and wonderful things, can you tell us a little bit about your photography? It's called Out of the Common Photography, www.ootcphotography.com.
Right. And I was going to try to make a jingle with that. But it's so stupid. Okay, I'll embarrass myself. So I was goofing around, and I was just OOTC Photography, OOTC Photography. Hey, OOTCphotography.com. Doom.
All right.
I got a
Bravo.
jingle for my cat too. I got jingles for a little everything. I love corny. I love corny.
So you're a photographer then, as well as an actor.
Yeah. Been doing photography for I didn't know math. 17 years.
Wow.
And it has been an ongoing learning because I never took it formally. I had a photographer literally take me under his wing and push me out the nest. I'm not making this up. Here's a camera. Here's 2 rolls of film. This is the shutter button. See a little needle in there? You want it to be in the middle. Okay, and that's how I got into photography. So
That is awesome.
ongoing ever since. Yeah,
That's awesome.
What's this film that you speak of, Loki? I'm not familiar.
Well, Paul, I would have to take you back to the cassette days. No, but it has film. It's funny because as soon as I got into it, that's when DSLR came.
Sure.
But I had the benefit of a little bit of playing in the dark room and taking the film out and putting it on a spool. You're in complete darkness. A lot of comedy in there, in a sense of just I don't know what I'm doing, and you're talking to me like I do.
I think it's invaluable because I also, of course, played around with film and maybe even took I must have taken it in college because I don't think our high school, I went to parochial school, and I don't think that they offered photography, but I must have been a college course where we played around in the dark room. And I think it adds another level because now you can just spray and pray. You can, take video and then just take a still. Whereas if you're using film, you really got to think out your shots. You're making photographs. You're not taking photographs. You really are making
36 exposure. That's all you got.
That's all you got.
And that's what I learned in the winter, because this all started in the winter. So I'm out in the cold, trying to get these shots, and then go back to a dark room talking to a photographer who literally is talking to me as if I know photography. Yeah, so did you do that stuff? I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
It was someone told me if you want to learn the language, just have the person speak to you in that language. And that was him. That's how I learned photography. And it was fantastic. In the long run, I'm internally grateful.
That's amazing, Loki. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I had a little bit of photography, so I know what you mean. It's truly a wonderful art. I did want to now circle back a little bit and talk about your series. Can you tell us who produced and directed Boswa Shea? Good morning.
Yeah. So that's my girl Patrice, and oh my goodness, I just lost her last name because I always see her son's name, and oh wow, she's gonna beat my butt. But anyways, it is a romance, and I have not been in anything romantic, which is what appealed to me, and family orientated. And so this is a very unique story. It's definitely not typical. Has some spirituality into it, without the religion, if you will.
Yes.
And it's just so warm and down to earth.
It sounds amazing. I just looked it up from the email that you sent me. Thank you, Loki. I'm sorry to put you on the spot on that. It's produced and directed and written by Patrice Moreau. Is that correct?
Yes. Oh,
okay. And also Faith in Love, written and directed by
I'm
Audrey.
not going to chop her name up, so I just call her out.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we just filmed a promotion for that. That's another. Now that one is, I want to say, would be about the complexities of relationships, and so that's another one that's appealing to me. And relationships and friendships. So it's very. That's another unique thing, not a unique concept per se, but the way it's presented, that was also appealing to me, that I said, yeah, I want to be a part of this. This is nice.
Fabulous. Congratulations on those two projects. And I wanted to ask both of you this question. Who is your favorite actor and actress? Paul, do you want to start it? Over to you.
Oh my goodness. I think something that was like inspirational when I saw, this is ridiculous, but like Gerard Depardieu, I remember, and maybe it has to do with foreign actors, because also like Jean Reno.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing George Depardieu on a talk show and going like, man, if this ugly dude can do it, I think I can do it too. I think that was more the inspiration than, but then I got into his movies and I was like, oh, this is good. And I'm sure you just kind of asked me this question, so I didn't have a chance to think about it. But yeah, for some reason, those guys. And then of course, comedic actors. I'm just such a fan of comedic actors, whether they came out of, especially if they came out of Chicago, I think. Or as I like to say, Chicago, because we don't got an accent.
Chicago. I love that. I loved him in Green Card.
Oh, it was fantastic. Yeah, with yes.
Right?
Yes, of course. I thought it was a great romantic comedy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Super. Thank you, Paul. How about you, Loki? Your favorite actor and actress, or one or the other?
It was nice. Okay, yeah. My first go-to was Denzel Washington, and I mean that. I mean, I never saw anyone that natural. And back when he was on Satan Elsewhere with Howie Mandel, actually, I couldn't believe. This guy is just moving. It's just a flow. How is he doing that? He's just flowing. He's like the rest of us. He's not acting, but he's acting.
Yes, I love him too. So let's say hi to Denzel. Hope he will watch this in the future. Want to say hi, Loki?
Yeah, hey, Mr. Washington, because I know right now he's, from my understanding, he's passed the mantle to who I definitely think deserves it, Michael B. Jordan. So, because he's the next one. And then when it comes to the ladies, Regina King.
Oh, yes.
I can get into, but I mean, I remember her. I mean, this is really funny to say, but I remember her on a show called 227 when she was a girl, a little girl. And this is a great sitcom that was on. And then just to watch her all the way to direct and producing, she's just this incredibly powerful woman. And then in her latest movie, I just was, this is my girl, and she's gorgeous. But rest in peace to her son, who I think last week committed suicide, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Our thoughts and prayers are with her. Her film was The Harder They Fall, right?
Oh, love that movie so much. Oh, I love that movie so much.
Me too. I love it. I love it. What's that, love?
I was asking Paul if he had seen it.
Oh, Paul, have you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my list because of all the great things I've heard about it. So 100%.
I love the cast. I love the colors of the fashion. I love every bit of detail was thought out and so well planned. Beautiful story, flowed, wonderful editing. What do you say, Loki?
Yes. That's funny as an actor, how you start to pay attention to those details that you never paid attention to before. I've looked all the way down to the extras. Even the extras were good, and it's just, I'm looking at all the detail now. And so those are my two. And I do have a list that I'll type and say, oh, this actor, I actually do have a list of people.
That's fabulous. Okay, Loki, I have a question for you. What is the most important thing that we should know about Loki D. Wolf?
Wow, my mother never even asked me that.
Oh, Loki.
I'm kidding. It's acting. Thank you. Thank you.
You're perfect.
Wow. Not to, I don't know if that's even a fault that I'm sitting here saying, I don't, well, okay, you know what? I'll go with the first thing that popped in my head. That's what you should answer with, the first thing that popped in your head. Don't follow up with thought.
Not necessarily, but
No, that's
but go
right. And I've learned that too in the human nature department.
Yeah.
I would say the most important thing to know about me is that I am doing all of this, being active, acting, meeting wonderful people like AJ and Paul, and just living my life to the point that I have uprooted so many times and moved around and learned and seen people and learned coaches in the world and all this stuff, all while I've had MS. And so if someone's out there with this stupid disease, you can keep going. You can still have a normal life. You can actually still have a normal life. You know, just because I'm not, there are some with MS who are not as able, but at the same time, we are all in the same place. You know, we all have something going on. So I would say that's one of the most important things that I have had to, and it's still an ongoing battle, but I've had to fight a lot of brain, head wars with this to overcome. Because at one point I wasn't walking. At one point I wasn't able to taste or feel in particular places. And yet here I am and I can play sand volleyball. So
Yes, Loki.
No matter what, you may not have MS, but you may have something. And even if it's depression, because I've had to deal with severe depression, high anxiety, PTSD, and a whole list of things that say peel. Yeah, but I'm still here. So.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. What a beautiful message you have to share with the world. I commend you. I'm so proud of you, Loki. You're a fine example for inspiration for everyone and the young generation too that's coming up to look up to you. You're a leader. Thank you for those beautiful words and sharing that. We really feel like we're getting to know you behind the scenes. That's what this show is all about. You're so important as actors. You have one of the most important roles that you play in the world. This is one of the most important jobs. So we want to lift each and every one of you up. And I wanted to ask Paul also this. Paul, what message would you like to be known in the world by?
Well, no, hang on. No, I can't say the first thing that pops into my head.
Cigars? No, sorry.
I don't want to get canceled. No. I'm just kidding. I think I'm just kidding. I don't know. Besides cigars, for some reason, the word like super connector comes because I've gotten to know so many people. Yeah. And bringing them together, I don't know if that's a great contribution to society or not, but
it is. Yes, it is, Paul.
I love being that catalyst that brings people or ideas. I'm like, hey, you know what? You should know this other person, and maybe we do something together, maybe we don't, but you two should know each other. And I think a lot of us are kind of like that, especially in this Clubhouse community, and yeah, so for some reason that's what that, and of course integrity and all the other things that we do want to be known for, and leaving the world a better place than how we found it. And cigars at vatocigars.com.
Vatocigars.com. Yes, yeah. Please. Thank you. I love that. Thank you so much, Paul. And Loki, you are amazing. We have a few minutes left, and I want to ask, is there anything that, Paul, you would like to promote first before I go over to Loki?
Comedian. I love comedians.
Thank you, Loki.
I love you all. I love you. I will stand up for you. Whenever there's flack, I just say the comedian is the last person to go to and look for morals and high standards. Their job is to make fun of those very things. So I love comedians. Please, Paul, what's up with Paul?
Thank you, Loki, because I would hope that that message does get out in the world where it is, a lot of times we'll say something that might be taken out of context because you haven't listened to the whole routine or the whole 10-minute conversation. You just took a little chunk of that, and at its surface value, it looks horrific maybe that you would say something like that, but it's relating to something else. And I do think that comedians are almost, this last line of defense. And I get that a lot of people are like, oh, we're getting canceled and PC, we can't even perform anymore, things like that. But I maybe sometimes that's also an excuse. But thank you for saying that, because we should be afforded, I think, a little bit more leeway because we're constantly experimenting. We know where the line is. We know that we shouldn't cross it, but you still always try to push it just a little bit more. And it's hopefully to expose hypocrisy and it's satire. I try not to punch down, and you go after the ones that deserve getting got, type of a thing. So yeah, so thank you, thank you for saying that. And what am I promoting? I think my social media, if it's something physical besides Vato Cigars, I'd like to promote paulvato.com or vato.tv. That takes you to my personal website where you can connect with me. I'm also a brand ambassador for several great brands. I don't know if you want me to mention those or not.
Yes, please
sure,
go ahead.
Like Lemur, which is an audio app. It's all about social audio. I'm an OWL, OWWLL brand ambassador, and we're looking for brand ambassadors. Please reach out if you have a substantial social media following, like even over 10 grand over across all social media. And it's a great app if you want to monetize your knowledge. So instead of, which we give ours away for free, and I love it and I get it, but if somebody wants to ask you questions, you can monetize that. But yeah, reach out at paulvato.com and we can connect there. And thank you for allowing me to be your co-host, AJ, because I love this and I love getting to know people like Loki that, we know each other on Clubhouse, but to actually, I didn't know about your MS. I didn't know, and I wish we had more time because I know that this is your first time going into the comedic, into the romantic comedy. And I'd like to know your film history. Like, what have you done before? What did you normally get cast as and things like that?
Yeah.
So
go ahead,
I hope
Loki.
we can bring it back.
I would say I am on IMDb, not to push off, but I just say I have a respectable resume, not a huge resume. So if someone looked at my background, they wouldn't have to worry. And plus, I have been formally trained, at least in acting. But so I have my B-side horror movie that I hope nobody ever finds. I have the adventure, the action, that was Backlash, you had mentioned earlier. That was actually, I was the lead, like I say, the lead bad boy. And that was actually pretty fun. I think everybody likes to play the bad guy or gal every once in a while. And so I've kind of been all over the place, but it's been a very interesting ride. So
Okay, great. Thank you.
For the big stuff.
Thank you so much. You have wonderful, we're going to manifest that for you. You're going to have wonderful projects coming in the future, Loki. And Paul, thank you so much for being my co-host. It's such an honor. And so I do want to ask, Loki, how can people contact you? How can people reach you and follow you and support you?
My Tinder ID, no, that's easy. You can actually go directly to my website, which is lokidwolf.com. I'm also the same under Instagram and Facebook. So pretty easy to find. It's just my name. And that's how you'll find me. Leave me a message and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Sounds like an old recording, never mind.
That's wonderful. I've really enjoyed both of you. Thank you so much for being on the very first launch of Film Talk with AJ Dean, a podcast to uplift the film and TV industry professionals. I would like to thank you, Loki D. Wolf, and Paul Vato, my co-host, and also give a shout out to Georgette Dante, who is doing her own talk show called Live with Georgette. She's also doing GD Productions and Burlesque Films. comes. And so I want to say thank you to her and her support and everybody out there supporting me on this wonderful podcast. And until we meet again, it's gotten very hot in here, guys, because you're just hot, hot, hot. You're on fire.
AJ, thank you for this. This is you, and you are the most wonderful person I've met on Clubhouse. Next to you and Lorianne, your nature and wisdom and your love.
Oh,
you are
thank
so
you.
needed in this world. So thank you for this. And Paul, you're a great man. I'm glad I got to meet you. Thank you.
Likewise, Loki. Likewise, fellow Chicagoan. So
Chicagoan,
thank you,
yeah.
Loki. Chicago. We're gonna have to work on your British accent and bring it back to Chicago, where we don't got an accent.
Oh yes, the very upper class British accent. Of course, I was born in England. Of course, I can do that. I can also be a bit Cockney as well. So it just depends, you know, on the moment. Anyway, until we meet again, ta-ta for now. Bye-bye.
I need something also. Yeah. Okay.